How's it going, Scotty?
I'm good. I'm good. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too.
How
Unfortunately,
you doing,
though,
Bob?
we're not spending it together.
Oh,
We are separated by what would you think, about 80
land
80
and
kilometers
sea. Yeah, it is distance, isn't it? This is the
currently.
80 kilometers I normally make,
Yes,
but Sydney
walking.
is
You usually walk here, which is
yeah. Part of it is walking. That's true. Small part of it, but I do walk a little bit of
he
it.
often arrives with a long, scraggly beard and rips all over his trousers.
I'm not sure about the ribs, but the scraggle beard is pretty accurate.
So welcome to this podcast, this very special last episode of 2020.
Yes.
What a lovely year we've had.
It is that time of the year that we look back on what has come before, and this year we can go, wow, that was shit.
Indeed we can. And we have. And we continue to do so. This year has not been great at all. There's been a lot of catastrophes and just what a shit show. What a write-off.
Yeah.
And not just
2020,
for that, but also like the amount of unnecessary deaths and destruction, and we're so over
human stupidity. I think we're over human stupidity. But today we'll particularly look at the film industry in 2020 and how it wasn't what we were expecting it to be.
It wasn't what anyone was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
A lot of films got cancelled or pushed back. A lot of people lost their jobs.
Yeah.
It's been a roller coaster.
Can you think back to the start of the year, like the films you were looking forward to? Because I think this is kind of the place to start. Like,
yeah. So at the very beginning of the year, we had a lot of superhero films that were supposed to come out.
Yeah.
A huge slate of them. Some very highly anticipated ones.
It was the April slate. It's like we were looking forward to the movies that were coming out in April at the start of the year.
Yeah.
None of which have come out. In fact, Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out next week.
Yes,
and
officially.
That's the first one of what was the April slate back then.
Yeah,
that's coming out.
Yeah, and not just that, but also we had the new James Bond flick.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would call it Skyfall, but that's not what it's called.
It's definitely
not Spectre either.
Not Sky. What?
What is the new Bond film? I've actually.
You should really know this. You should. I mean,
License?
you're. I've got it here, but I'm. What do you think it is? Make one up.
I'll make one up. I guess that is the key, isn't it? Is it the catchy one-liners, aren't they? Wow, I can't believe I've forgotten.
I hope people are disappointed in you, Scotty, because it's no time to die.
To die. No time to die.
No time to die.
Because it's the same as You Only Live Twice, or there's another one. It's they're all versions of the same thing, aren't they?
I mean, they're very. What do you call it?
One-liners.
Little on the nose.
Motives.
Very, very. Not good.
Yes. Oh, I like them.
Oh well, they're just
they're clean.
But they're also like they take themselves way too seriously.
Pussy galore. Octopussy. I'm not sure that's taking itself seriously.
I don't know, because the way that those films were made, they took them very seriously, a little too seriously, for a lot of it. It's just weird because there's like let's take something that sounds funny and try to make it serious. And it was a bit.
Well, some of the Bond movies were more serious than others. So let's leave it at that as well.
That's true.
The other, it was Black Widow. It was the other April slate movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Which isn't coming out until next April.
This is true.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of another film that I was really looking forward to was Denis Villeneuve's Dune.
Yes.
I think a lot of people were really looking forward to that. And
that was already going to be late in the year, though, wasn't it? It's
not to begin with.
Far.
Not to begin with. To begin with, it was supposed to come out in August, I think.
Okay.
And then it got pushed back again, and it was supposed to come out in November, and then it got pushed back again to come out in late December, and now it's been pushed back again to October next year, I think.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things that. So I'm talking about April movies getting pushed back, but all the summer movies then got pushed back even further, and then other stuff into. One movie that did come out this year, though, that did get pushed back from before was I'm skipping ahead a bit on my list.
That's all right.
I've got a vague list that I'm.
I have
using.
a list. Do you want me to tell you what my categories for my list have been for this year?
Yeah,
I'll tell you the categories. I won't tell you the films. So I've got favorite films of this year of 2020. I've got the most disappointing movies of 2020. I've also got movies I'm looking forward to watching from this year, or ones that were supposed to be released this year. And then I've got movies I'm looking forward to in 2021 to round off this list.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you've done that, because I haven't done that, because I feel like most of the 2020 movies are the movies that fill into that list. Like already we've talked about Black Widow, the Bond movie.
Top Gun Maverick is another one that was supposed to come out this year but didn't. So yeah, we've got a lot of Quiet Place 2 Part 2 I think was also scheduled to be released end of this year, but it got pushed.
It almost did come out here in Australia. Quiet Place 2. They changed their mind at the last second, and they decided to push it back everywhere.
Yeah,
but it almost actually came out here in Australia early.
So close. Close.
Which is an interesting choice. I'm kind of glad they did that, I guess.
I mean,
to have it everywhere at the same time.
Okay, so there's this big thing. It's very complicated. But with releasing films,
simplify.
Well, with releasing films worldwide, you are making deals with not production studios, but cinema studios, people who own the cinemas that we go to and watch these movies. And the atmosphere of cinema is very different to watching it at home. And a lot of the big films that were coming out, they were made to be watched on the big screen. So films like Dune, films like Wonder Woman, films like, all of these different movies, they were made to be watched in a big giant room with a big giant screen. And as weird as it sounds, that is actually a part of how they approach filmmaking, the process. They look at it and go, this is going to look amazing on this screen, or
it's a show.
This is going to look amazing on a smaller screen. I mean, we had an app earlier this year that specialized in making, the content on phones as TV shows, if that makes sense.
Cinematic. Yeah. No, I was actually going to say, it's like you can actually see the difference between the cinematography in TV and film or how it used to be. At least.
Yeah, you can. And because of that, Warner Brothers recently did a thing that nobody on the film industry side of things was happy with. And
most of Warner Brothers wasn't.
Yes. They announced that all of their slate from 2020 to 2021 was going to be not only released in cinemas, but also on HBO.
At the same time.
Now, the problem with this
which is kind of key.
The big problem with this is not only does it make it harder for the storyteller's vision to actually come to fruition, what they actually want for the movie,
or it's to be enjoyed in its original sense.
Yeah, but it also it kind of, you lose that effect of watching it in the cinema. You lose
the industry as well.
Yeah,
right? You're actually, by skipping the cinemas, you are taking money from the cinemas, and taking money from the cinemas in the long run it's
going to kill them.
Take away.
It'll kill them. And the biggest problem with this is that Warner Brothers did this without the filmmaker's consent.
Oh, they did. Like, it felt like they did it on the fly out of nowhere.
Well, they did. They didn't do it with any consent. Yeah. They didn't talk with a lot of the directors and the staff of these films, and that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
No, I think we have talked about this before, and we weren't happy when we heard about it.
Well, I wasn't happy, but now more reports are coming out that yes, indeed, they did this without telling them and undercutting them, and they've made deals on the side to cut them out, and it's just not. It's not good. It's not good at all.
I kind of It means. This sort of attitude, though, it also means that other directors and content creators will be less likely to work with Warner Brothers in the future.
Yes. So. And that's, it's not looking good for them. Bad decisions all around. But disappointing.
Yeah, no one's happy. So Do you remember the movies we saw at the start of the year in the cinema? Before the meltdown.
Yes, sort of. So, The Invisible Man we saw before everything went to hell.
That was, well, that's actually a bit further in the year than you think it was.
Yes, but that was before the lockdown.
Yeah.
Going back from that, we saw that, what was it called? The shitty superhero
Bloodshot.
Bloodshot. That's the one. It's on Amazon Prime now.
Well, there's a few movies that came out at the start of the year. I was just looking at them. Like right at the start. Like I don't remember if you remember. This is the time where a whole bunch of crap came out and other stuff. Bad Boys for Life came out, which
that's right.
We didn't see.
I tried to watch that last week.
Kind of the same.
Last week
apparently,
I tried to watch
it. For those who get through the whole thing, they prefer it to the originals. So
wow, interesting, because I haven't seen the originals and I was bored out of my brain with this one.
There was a remake of a remake of a remake, and The Grudge. Which,
that's also on Amazon. Didn't see it.
Yeah,
didn't see it.
I'm
not I don't really jump on horror films. But I think
you did, particularly not the genre.
That was this the whole spiritual ghost kind of but apparently that one was either produced or directed by Sam Raimi or something. He had something to do with it,
I think.
Which is a little disappointing because I love Sam Raimi. I think he's good quality.
Too.
So
well, he's going to get a bit strange again. So that's good.
Yes.
There was also Dr. Dolittle, which was a massive flop.
Robert Downey Jr. probably doing it to fulfill some sort of contract.
Yeah, well,
I mean, he got paid, so whatever.
Yeah. And then one of the movies we actually did see was Weathering with You, all the way back then.
No, I thought that was last year.
That's the thing. It was actually, we might have seen it early, but it officially came out middle of January.
I think we did see it early. Because I remember, like, November, we saw it.
Yep.
Yeah, because it was before the fires that started happening in our area.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was before the fires we saw it. So, yeah. Well, that was officially 2020 movie, though, so that's interesting.
Wow. Yeah. What about the other ones we saw? Did we see any others in cinema?
Well, basically, Bloodshot, and that's about it, I think.
Wow.
There was The Gentleman came out, and we didn't see that.
The what?
The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie movie.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I remember. That is also on Amazon, I think.
Yeah, well, thanks, Amazon. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like they're there
now.
It is. The Rhythm Section, which is a movie I've never even heard of, but it came out at the start of the year.
Yeah, I've heard kind of mixed things from that one.
Yeah, but basically, it's like I think that movie must have come out just as lockdown was about to happen, and
that's
then
rough.
Nobody went back to it.
That is really rough.
Yeah, other movies like that were Gretel and Hansel, which was a bit of a weird one. I have seen reviews of that.
Yeah.
And then the big one that happened just before the lockdown for us was, well, big is a rather vague term. It was Birds of Prey.
That's
right. Or the Harley Quinn movie.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, and man, that was shit.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. They tried though. There were moments where I was like, okay, this is.
I could see almost where this could turn
this could be really cool.
But they didn't do
that. They kind of undid all of that hard work, almost every chance they got. Like, it was like, here's an interesting scene. Hold up, let me cut it in the middle and let me explain to you why it's interesting. I don't want that. I just want to see. I just want to see an interesting scene. That's it. That's all I want. Just do that. And also, like, the stunts and stuff, not great.
No, it was a bit. That was the problem. The best stuff was average at best.
Yeah.
Or it was. I could see what they were trying to do, maybe.
And it didn't feel like. They. It's hard to explain, but it didn't feel like they planned things out as well as they could have been. I even forgot that Ewan McGregor was in this movie. How weird is that? Like, I can't even pick. Like, I'm struggling to picture what he actually looked like.
His sidekick had more to do than
I remember him. I don't remember Ewan McGregor.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. So yeah, those were the films we saw before everything kind of went to shit.
Yes.
Not a great year if you end it there.
No, it's
It's not
not.
a.
Did you have
That's
anything else on your list from early on?
sorry.
Did you have anything else on your list from when it began early on, or was that it?
No, not really. That was about it. Everything else we saw was either kind of released during lockdown, or
Yep.
it was released online and not in cinemas.
Okay, now I'm going to test your memory. Do you remember what we started podcasting on at this point?
Well, at the lockdown,
Yeah, at this point in time, do you remember what we started doing podcasts on?
no
Because
idea. I mean, we had it would have been one of those movies. It would have been fucking Birds of Prey or something.
yeah, I think we started doing. Lion King come out? No,
Lion
it
King
wasn't.
was last year,
No.
wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. It felt like there was an animated movie that came out. Or am I just forgetting?
I mean, it
We start.
probably
I mean,
was.
we started watching. We started watching the streaming movies. It's kind of the key, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah.
And there was a lot of them, which is
Heaps,
kind of good. It
heaps.
just coincided with the Apple TV Plus, and Amazon and Netflix having a whole slate around that time,
Yeah.
and some of them going straight. Like, well, the Trolls movie went straight to, although it did come out eventually anyway.
Yeah, that
And
was weird. Yeah, because I don't remember
yeah,
seeing it come out over here, like on streaming services or anything. But I do remember it coming out in cinemas. But I also remember it not coming out overseas in cinemas
yeah, it didn't. It only came out streaming
until
service.
yeah, it was a very strange release way of doing things. I guess they already paid the money for the cinemas over here, and they were like, well, can't let it go to waste now. We might as well just let it play. But yeah,
Yeah, but I think that was the case. Like, there's this gap in the cinema landscape that we started going to the streaming movies to watch, and it didn't feel great, to be honest.
no,
We missed the cinema.
yeah, yeah.
So we briefly got it back again. Well, I
I mean, we've
I
had
wouldn't say
it. Let's
briefly.
say, well, we've had it
Yeah,
back since then,
it's not the same, but
because
we've had it back.
one of the good things about New South Wales, for
Mhm.
whatever
Which is the
reason,
state of Australia that we live in.
yes, yeah, New South Wales. We're on the east coast of Australia. For
Mhm.
our American listeners who probably
We love.
would rather do that way of talking about Australia. We're on the East Coast,
Yep.
and we have a pretty good we had a pretty good handle on COVID cases really early on compared to some
Until the
other
cabin
places
cruise.
in Australia.
Yeah.
Scotty,
Mhm.
your your
Yeah.
your state
I've
of
been putting
origin was not great at handling
No,
things.
Victoria had it pretty hard, and the funny thing is, it's been the same story all over Australia in terms of what's been the cause of these outbreaks.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what it's been? It's been cabin crews breaking the curfews.
Yeah,
Um,
or just people
so
in general breaking curfews.
yeah,
People who haven't who either get antsy. Like there was a guy who traveled 45 minutes to get Indian while
yeah.
he had COVID, and this was after he got told to stay indoors and not do anything.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And
I mean, there was a lot of push against the stay-at-home, do-as-you're-told
yeah,
movement.
yeah. Mainly in Victoria, funnily enough.
Yeah, well, Victoria just had it worse, so there was plenty more options of seeing how bad
Yeah,
people were there.
yeah. And
Yeah,
it's tough to gauge because recently we were almost out of it, and then the North Shore here in close down to Sydney, a
yeah.
bunch of them decided, what, social distance? That's for poor people.
Well, no, once again, that was cabin crews from a flight are the cause of that.
Ah, ridiculous,
Yeah.
ridiculous. Just stay indoors. Wear a friggin' mask. Don't.
The problem is we get this false sense of security where we think it's all gone
Yeah. Which
without realizing that.
I've had that several times
Yeah.
because it
The
did feel
problem
like
is,
it disappeared, which was nice, but
and it was gone. That's the thing. It's like you get to that state, and then all of a sudden, it's like it comes out of nowhere because one person has gone out of their hotel when they're not supposed to.
yeah,
And then they've gone somewhere and met one person who's then met another person, and that's all it takes.
yep. It travels. It goes from
To be
person to
fair,
person.
the fact that we were able to trace so accurately the lines of who got it first and where it's come from is actually sort of
But is that just usually up to the laziness of the person who had it?
Mostly, yeah. I know, it's sad, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So, do you remember what movies we started doing when we were starting to watch movies online? Do you recall?
Yeah, well, The Five Bloods by Spike Lee just come out
Yep.
early on. Also, I watched this really great indie film called The Vast of Night, by Andrew Patterson, which was fantastic. And we didn't do any. I don't think we did any podcasting on at least The Vast of Night, unfortunately,
No.
because that was one of my
What happened
favorite
was...
movies of this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you didn't watch it, did you?
We started... No, I haven't heard
I
of it.
told
You
him
never told
to
me,
watch it. Yes, I did. I said, dude, you should check out I could look it up in my Facebook chat right now and screenshot it for you, because I told you twice you should watch this and you ignored me. So that's on you.
Yeah.
That's 100% on you.
Be. What we did do though is we started doing podcasts on older movies.
Yes.
We did Akira
Kurosawa films. Yeah, we looked into that. We also did
The Seven Samurai.
Yeah, Seven Samurai, which is fantastic.
It was.
And we looked at some older films, which was nice to see where
it was good.
You know,
I was kind of a relief. It was kind of a refresher. We were sick. We got a bit cynical, I think, about just life in general, and it was nice to see cinema done correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
Like sort of its purest form, to make us feel good again.
Yeah, and it was nice to it was kind of like a palate cleanser, because before lockdown we had watched a lot of not great films like
Bloodshot and Birds of Prey that we felt pretty bad.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of the funny thing is this year's had a lot of movies that were just bad.
Yeah, at least at the very beginning.
And those are the ones that made it to cinema that didn't get pushed back, with the bad ones, just kind of, or the average ones as well, like stuff like New Mutants, which came out later in the year, finally, which was just
When did the last X-Men film come out? Was that last year? It was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dark Phoenix was last year. Yeah.
Terrible. Terrible. What a terrible note to end it on as well. Like, had a decent franchise.
Well, New Mutants is technically the end of that franchise, but yeah,
nobody remembers it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
nobody cares.
It's not even a bomb. It's just a filter out. It's like a slow decline.
Yeah, shocking. Sucks.
Yeah. But we did go back to the cinema eventually, and we saw David Copperfield, which is probably my favorite film of this year, I think.
Wow, because it's definitely it's not even on my favorite films list.
Really? Yeah. I really enjoyed that movie.
I mean, it's good. I'm not going to say it's
okay. What's
it's
on
bad.
Your list? Okay, I need to know your list.
All right. Well, yeah, my favorite films of 2020. Here we go. We got Trial of the Chicago 7 by Aaron Sorkin.
Okay, that's good.
The Five Bloods by Spike Lee. The Invisible Man by Leigh Whannell.
Invisible Man is up there, yeah, for me.
Palm Springs by Max Barbakow.
Oh, that's not fair. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, that's your fault. The Vast of Night, Andrew Patterson. Happiest Season, Clea Duvall. And Wolf of Snow Hollow, Jim Cummings. Those are my favorite films of this year, I think.
So you actually did get around to seeing Wolf of Snow Hollow?
Yeah, I did. I borrowed it on YouTube for $5.
Okay.
It's good. Definitely recommend.
Five Bloods was good. I wouldn't say it would make my top list, though. I preferred the Trial. The thing is, I actually went back and watched a bit of the back catalogue of Netflix during that time, and I saw Marshall. And Marshall, which is with the now late and great. Holy moly!
I don't know who you're talking about.
Black Panther.
Oh, right. Yes. So why?
Yeah,
so wait.
Marshall's another movie about he's a black lawyer representing people.
Yeah.
And Just Mercy had come out as well, which did the same thing. So it's like, for me, Trial of the Chicago 7 was a great movie, but it was like it was following in their footsteps. So it's like,
I disagree.
It wasn't. Have you seen all three of those?
Yes, I have. I disagree because the Trial of Chicago 7 It's got it doesn't it has a different style that separates it.
It does,
It's
and I like
not
the Sorkinisms.
it's not following the footsteps of another film. It's
No, that's not what I meant. It's more that type of story.
yeah, but that doesn't have any bearing on whether the film is good or bad or better than or less than. Like that doesn't have any effect on that. What has an effect on that is whether the it was a well-made movie or not. I think we've lost Scotty.
Uh-oh. Actually, I lost you. I'm just going to say I lost you. But I'm back now. Yes.
Well, that was weird. Anyway.
Apparently it's saying you've got a poor connection. Okay.
You've got a poor connection.
Okay.
My connection's amazing, dude.
What does it say? I must have just gone out for a sec. Strange. We'll leave that to the editor.
Oh, fantastic. Yay. I'll have to fix that.
Anyway,
my point is that a good film doesn't need to have it being a part of a genre piece or it being a part of Oh my God, Scotty, your internet is shocking.
That's strange. It's been great all day. I don't know what's going on now.
It could be the weather. It's raining here right now. There was some thunder and lightning earlier.
It's not raining, but it's a bit misty outside.
Mm.
Do you want to pause and come back to the podcast? Are we going to have an intermission in our podcast? First time ever?
At minute 26, no less. Okay. Sure. We'll have an intermission and we'll play some nice, relaxing music, and then we'll be back.
We're back.
We are back.
We didn't go anywhere. What are you talking about? No troubles, not troubles. We're definitely. What were we talking about?
What were we talking about?
We were talking about our favorite movies, actually, and you were talking about how you liked the
Trial of Chicago 7.
7, yeah.
Yes, Aaron Sorkin's Trial of Chicago 7 on Netflix. I really enjoyed it, and you were saying that it was similar to.
Oh no! I think it just had. I like the movie a lot. I just think it had less of an impact and stands out less to me because I'd seen movies that dealt with similar topics, and I'm not trying to say the film's any less of a movie. It's just that it wasn't. It's like it was a great movie. And it's probably makes my top 10. It's just one of the ones off the top of my head I'd have put at the top.
Which is fair, but I think it is. I think there's something about it that speaks to the deeper problem that underlines the American justice system. That affects more than just a subculture, more than just it affects everyone. You know what I mean? Whereas some of the other ones, while they're good, there was this element of almost like it was easier to put distance between the audience and what was happening on screen for whatever reason.
I think the big difference is that in this one, it showed the law itself and everything surrounding it as a farce.
Yes.
Whereas other ones, like you see people working within the system to fight against the injustices they see.
Yeah.
And I think that was the difference. So you empathize more when there's even more injustice, I think.
Yeah.
Which does help. Yeah. And the story itself is fascinating. And the fact that so much is true is fascinating as well.
What really got me with the Trial of Chicago 7 was the assassination, pretty much, of the Black Panther leader.
At the head, yeah.
That was. It's sickening that actually happened, and terrifying that they didn't care. Like, they were very open about it, pretty much, when it happened.
Yep, and I think the film frames itself very well in that we see the assassinations of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. and Bob Kennedy happened a little bit at the start, which is extremely important for what's happening.
Yeah.
So,
and it set it up. Like, it really set up what the story was about. And also Sacha Baron Cohen's character is just, it's fantastic, and I love that he was a real person, just giving it to the justice system.
The funny thing is, if you see photos of him or interviews, because there are online, and that's exactly what he was. That normally Sacha Baron Cohen is playing caricatures, and you can almost see a caricature, but no, that's the role he was playing. That's the guy he was playing.
And it was great. I loved it.
I think maybe it was because of how tough the year was. The movies that stood out for me were ones that made me hopeful in society, and when I went back to the cinema to see them. So the two that stood out for me the most were, I think I already said, The Personal History of David Copperfield, but also Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was going back to cinema to see them again, and I was getting the big screen thing, and there were stories that made me feel good inside.
Yeah.
They were funny. They're both very funny, very different forms of funny. I think those are the reasons they stood out. Oh, I mean, they also had very good stories as well, and they were interesting character studies in David Copperfield, and then in Bill and Ted, you've just got that style of that humor that doesn't care, like
American humor. It's like it's an American humor. It's
a type of American humor. Yeah,
it's the quintessential. I kind of felt like I was watching. You remember old MASH episodes? And Get Smart and stuff like that.
Yes,
it kind of felt like I was watching something like that take place, but a little bit more refined, a little bit more brought into the 21st century version of that. And I really enjoyed Bill and Ted. That was a very good film, very well made movie.
It just came out on cinema buzzing.
Yes, yeah. You left happy. Yeah, which is
important
by design. It's what they wanted.
Yep. I mean, the final, as the credits are showing, it's showing all these people just dancing, which was just all recording sent in, and I think that's wonderful.
Actually, I think I said this on the podcast, but I got a casting for that where you send in your video and stuff, which was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that was our favorite films of 2020.
Yes, we were roughly up to the middle of the year.
You need to. Cinemas... I'm going to say this before you forget, but you need to see The Vast of Night, and you need to see Happiest Season, and you need to see Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Okay.
I'm
excited to see two of those.
And Palm Springs. What do you mean you're excited to see two of those?
Wolf of
Snow Hollow is fantastic.
I'm sure it is. It's just I'll take my time watching that one.
It's great. I love it.
And the night one, I think the reason I keep forgetting is
The
Vast of Night. The title is just doesn't stick in your head.
The Vast of Night. It definitely does.
What is it about? What is the Vast of Night about?
It is about this radio host. I think it's set in the 1950s, 60s, around about the Cold War has kind of been set as the backdrop, and this radio presenter and this switchboard chick start getting weird signals, and then they start getting calls in from people in the town telling them their experience of all of this and how they think it's aliens, they think it's Russian spies, they think it's Sputnik, and these two go on this kind of quest to find out what's going on in their town. Very low budget. I'm pretty sure it was made with maybe 20 grand.
Wow.
Yeah. But fantastic story. Andrew Patterson, who directs this, I think this is his second film. His first one was very low budget and not great. I think it was it could have been a zombie horror thing. Because most indie directors start with zombie horror for whatever reason.
I mean, it's the easy thing to do.
Yeah,
right?
It's fair. But yeah, it was unremarkable. But then he made The Vast of Night, and he got on Amazon, and everyone's been talking about it since. And it's a great example of how to do a low budget film, and still keep the audience on the edge of their seats. The cinematography is fantastic, and so is the acting. And they have this fantastic scene at the very beginning that goes, it's just a long shot of setting up this town. So we walk through the town following this character as he, he's getting ready to comment on the local basketball college game that they're playing in the town. And you meet all of the different characters that are going to eventually become...
Is that similar to the opening shot of Broadchurch?
I don't know. I've never seen Broadchurch.
Okay. The first season's good.
Okay, cool. Just the first season?
It's all right, the rest of it, but this first season's the good part.
The excellent
It's
part.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That makes sense.
Fair enough. But yeah, fantastic movie. Like highly recommend.
Okay.
It's on Amazon. So if you've got Amazon, get it. But yeah.
My problem is accessing Amazon's difficult, so...
Well, you can borrow my login. I don't really care.
Well, I could do that, or I could just see it with you at your place.
That's true. I wouldn't mind watching it again. It's a good movie.
Yeah. I was just looking up. It says it was initially released in the 26th of January 2019, and then it got a re-release. So...
Which one?
Fast of Night.
Oh, yeah. It didn't have a proper release until 2020. It's counted as a 2020 film.
Yeah, so it's got, when you see it, it's a 2019/2020, but it's weird because it says 26th of January 2019 and then /March 2020. So
yeah.
That is interesting.
I mean, indie film first release is always going to be quite a bit out from a theatrical proper release.
Oh, I mean, we've talked about our struggle to watch The Lighthouse.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's different though. That's more, I think, production company or Australian cinemas not thinking that it will make money in Australia, which I think probably fair, to be honest. Australians aren't really known for their cultural appetites when it comes to film, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the only film that kind of sort of broke that was The Joker, and that is oddly, I mean, it's not oddly,
it's
because it's a superhero movie.
The Joker isn't an indie film though. Like that's...
No, but it's not the sort of movie, if it didn't have the DC logo attached to it, the franchise logo attached to it, people wouldn't have gone and seen that movie in the droves they did.
Yeah, exactly. But if it didn't have the DC logo attached to it, if it didn't have Joaquin Phoenix, and if it didn't have the director, I'm drawing a blank on the director. He did
The
Hangover series. If it didn't have those things, I don't think it would have been seen at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy what a comic book logo will do nowadays.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about a movie that you still have mixed feelings about, but I did enjoy it, and even though it's not one of his best, let's talk about Tenet.
All right,
because we're up to September. I'm not my list of things.
I'm not a big fan of Tenet. Mainly for the writing side.
It once.
Yes, but however, I have been validated in my beliefs because a lot of people have come out and said
the same thing.
It's not that great. It's not. It's not his best work. It's not stellar. It's not his best film or even close to it. I'm not saying it's a bad film, and a lot of people aren't saying that it's a bad film.
Yeah,
it's just the expectation of Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan name. If you're not living up to your own standard, then people kind of go, "Oh, that was jarring. That wasn't what I was expecting."
Isn't that a grand thing, though? Isn't that a great thing?
Oh, it's
Nolan
fantastic.
Can do that.
But I'm frightened for
funny?
People like Denis Villeneuve
okay.
for when he hits that point, because I think all directors hit that point where they just
exactly.
They get to a point where the film that they make doesn't live up to the name, their reputation that they've built.
I think any great director, if they get up to that point, that's the cool thing.
Yeah,
like, you want to get to that point where it's like the expectation is you've made a good movie.
Steven Spielberg has hit it. We talked about this last time.
Yeah, he's gone past it. But although I did as I said last time, I like The Post. But yes, he's made.
I felt it was too close to Spotlight. I felt it was a bit too
set 50 years before.
Similar.
It's weird. I think it's weird because it feels like a prologue to All the President's Men.
Oh yeah,
because it's about all the same characters.
I need to watch All the President's Men. I've been trying to find it on Blu-ray and I haven't had any luck. But I need to watch it.
I watch it on. I streamed it at some point.
Oh, okay, because I've looked up streaming and I don't think it is on anywhere aside from renting. I mean, renting.
I've not done that. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Because that's a good movie, President's Man. It's very iconic. Lots of...
Robert Redford and the Rain Man himself.
Dustin Hoffman. Jesus.
I didn't forget his name. I was about to say it.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Cut me off.
Yeah. So Tenet, we've gone off on another tangent.
We went off on a tangent.
You've seen it twice. I only saw it once.
Yeah.
And in spite of the complaints that things were too loud for certain people to understand what was going on, I understand that, but I didn't experience that. Like, I experienced it was quite loud, but...
So watching it was good watching it the second time, though, for that very reason, is that I could highlight aspects of what was good about it and what was bad about it. It's like there are problems with the writing, and there's a few problems with the pacing, but it's like it's a set piece movie, and you have to be invested.
Yeah, but I think, I do agree that you do have to be invested, but a film has actually got to give you a reason to be invested. Like you can't just. You can't just expect audience members as a whole to be like, I'm going because I'm invested in this movie. A lot of people go because they want to be invested in the film. But if a film doesn't invite someone to be invested in it, then they won't.
The weird thing with this movie is it invites you to be interested by trying to pay attention to how it's all unfolding.
Which I disagree with.
No, but the reason I think we don't find that as much, I didn't find that either, but for other people they find that, is because we're smart and we actually can tell what's going on. And I know that sounds rather rude, but in some respects, it's like it's not if you can't follow along, if you are finding it slightly harder to follow along, it is almost a benefit.
Yeah.
That sort of backwards and forwards and timey-wimey fun.
What was that? What's that quote from Doctor Who? Timey-wimey.
Yeah.
Fiddly widdly, whatever it is. Time is. I love the concept, and I feel like Tenet is a concept movie. It's not a.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those films that conceptually is really strong, but when it comes to actually pulling it off in the actual film itself, it struggles a bit, and because I don't care about the characters in the film. I don't understand why Washington is interested in Debicki's character at all. There's nothing there for me to say, okay, that means that something's going on
other than
there.
She's pitiable. I think that's...
that's not a good character trait, let alone a feminine character trait, which is something that most people should be staying away from.
To be fair, it had a lot more going for it in terms of characters than the next movie we watched.
Which was that?
Which was $30 on Disney Plus.
Oh God, I forgot about this movie.
Yes. Oh,
I blocked this. Movie. Oh my God, I blocked this.
Was this not your worst movie?
It's not on any of my lists, dude. It's nowhere in sight. I've blacked it out. It's gone.
It is the great disappointment of Mulan.
Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot this. Yeah, okay, Mulan, the live-action film.
What is your worst movies? I actually need to know.
I've only got 2 on the list.
Yep. That's good.
Because everything else is kind of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's I noticed that going back because a lot of these movies are just meh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So one of them was the action film, what is it called? Bloodshot. Yeah. Terrible, worst film I think out of all of them. And Mank actually.
And Mank, okay.
Yeah.
Which is coming up soon on the list, but that's fine. I'm not going to see it, and I'm glad that I don't need to see it thanks to your recommendations.
I actually do think people should see it because I think it is educational in a way for people who are fans of film making to see it. Mm-hmm. But as a film, it's not great. It's not good. I don't think it's a very good movie.
Okay. Anyway, we were talking about Mulan.
Yes. Yeah. That is a terrible film, unfortunately. It's so conflicting because I love the original. I love the director that they selected to make this movie.
Yes. I like some of the ideas they were adding to it. The thing that really gets me, like when you're doing a remake, is stick true to the core messages and the core character arcs and the reasons behind them.
Yeah.
There's no family. There's no true restoration of honor or keeping your family's honor.
Disney told them, all right, make The Last Jedi, but make it Asian.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
it.
it felt like, and I think that
With
is
even less
the
continuity
yeah,
somehow.
yeah, and no interest in building a female character up, or even just a character
Yeah.
up. She's a superhero pretty much from the get go who has, you know, the chi, the power of the chi, which is
There's nothing interesting about her as
yeah.
well.
There's nothing. She's very much you know, Jane Doe, indescribable character who doesn't really have a reason to do what she does.
No.
Aside from being a marketing point for Disney, unfortunately.
What's interesting is there are podcasts other than ours. I know, believe it or not.
What?
There's a podcast that tells all these myths from history, and
Yeah.
one of them was a version of Mulan, because there's actually a lot of different versions of Mulan beyond the original
Yeah.
poem. And one of them was a retelling of Mulan. It was so much more interesting, where it's set during the time of the Three Kingdoms, where there's all these warlords around in China, and she's just belonging to a small state, essentially, a small community that has to defend against pirates. And this is the normal story. There's no sons in a village, so she gets sent, and she goes and fights for this army, and then dies for this army. But she doesn't really die. She gets taken by the other side, and they decide not to kill her and recruit her. And there's a whole much more story.
That's actually really interesting.
But the point of it, I found it fascinating. Is like in this small chapter, they captured way more character growth.
Yeah.
Than this entire movie.
Yeah.
And just by sticking to that small core arc.
Yeah. And that's what's so disappointing. There's this rule in filmmaking where story is king. Where you set out to make like the whole purpose of filmmaking is to make a story, good or bad. That's the purpose. And so, like, I can think of other films that have come out that are better movies than Mulan that I was not a big fan of. Aquaman being one of them.
Yeah.
Aquaman's a better film. And I wasn't a big fan of it because, to be honest, it's not great. But
it's a lot of marshmallow.
Yes.
That's what it is.
But it is better fundamentally as a film than Mulan is, unfortunately. And I'm not even talking about, you know, the social political nonsense that this film has been through, because there is a lot of shit that has happened behind closed doors for this film to get made, and I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, this film fundamentally is not a good movie, unfortunately. I wish it was. I wish it was, because I'm a big fan of a lot of the cast and a lot of the crew and a lot of the, you know, the people involved in making this, but it's just not great.
Did you see I'm Thinking of Ending Things?
I did.
Charlie Kaufman's movie.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I think it's a very good film. It's very slow paced, but it's consistent in what it's trying to say and what it's trying to do. I'd rather not spoil it, just because it's one of those films that has it's got a very indie vibe.
Go see it. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Yes.
So you can go see it right now. And yeah, it's a bit slow, but go and enjoy it. What's next? I'm just going down my list.
Fair.
Antebellum. Oh, the Trial of Chicago 7. Yeah, we got up to it at last. Jordan's favorite. Was it your favorite?
Not my favorite. It's just up there. It's one of my favorites.
It's just up there. And now we get to the movies that have been pushed back a bit.
Because I've got some movies I've been looking forward to watching from 2020, but we haven't seen yet, or at least I haven't seen.
Wonder Woman is about to come out, so that is just around the corner. Mank is actually not next one on my list. Jordan's disappointment of Mank, but you should watch it anyway for the sake of filmmaking.
I think if you're a fan of films, go see it. If you're not, then give it a miss. I don't think you're missing much if you're not interested in film.
Yeah. Zemeckis' The Witches is also out right now.
Yeah, I've heard terrible things, unfortunately.
I've heard that you should go watch the original, which is a really beautiful movie, and I do remember it terrifying me as a child.
Yes. With Alicia. No, I can't remember her name.
Those people.
She was Alicia. Fuck. She was in The Life Aquatic with Bill Murray and Wes Anderson. That movie about the submarine.
Yes.
Oh God, why can't I think of her name? Oh, it doesn't matter.
She's one of those people.
I almost had it just then as well. Fuck.
Oh,
so annoying.
I should shut up then. Oh well.
That's all right. But yeah, I do have a list as well of a bunch of films that I am very keen to see, but we haven't been able to, which is frustrating.
Yes. Beyond a Time to Die and the other ones we mentioned earlier.
Yes. So these films are the ones that were supposed to come out earlier this year or during this year, that either haven't or they've only just come out and we haven't seen them yet. So the first on the list for me was Wonder Woman 2, Patty Jenkins. Soul on Disney.
It is coming to Disney Plus.
It is at the end of this month. On the Rocks by Sofia Coppola.
Yeah.
Sofia Coppola, not Coppola. Coppola. The Assistant by Kitty Green, which is about this woman who gets sexually harassed at work, and the consequences of that. Wolf Walkers, which is an animated film that looks incredibly just so whimsical and beautiful. And that's directed by Tom Moore and Ross Stewart. I'm really keen to see that, but can't because...
I have seen the trailer for that, and it does look quite pretty.
It does look really nice, and I've heard really good things about it. The Sound of Metal by Darius Marder. It's on Amazon, I think. It just came out, and it's about this drummer who starts losing his hearing, but he still wants to drum because it's his passion, which sounds really, really good. Sounds really interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
One Night in Miami by Regina King. This is Regina King's first film, and it's about all of these African-American icons being in the same hotel together and meeting kind of for the first time almost.
Stupid pop-ups.
Promising Young Woman by Emerald Fennell, who you might know is the showrunner from Killing Eve, if you've seen that.
Yes.
Great show. Fantastic show.
I only actually watched the first 4 episodes, but I did enjoy the first 4 episodes.
This is her I think it's her first foray into directing film. I'm not sure about that, but either way, apparently it's incredible. Then there's Minari by Lee Isaac Chung, which also looks fantastic. It's about a family from Asia uprooting their life and moving to the States to own a farm.
Oh yes, I have seen that trailer as well, and it did look interesting.
And there's talk of Academy Awards for this one, so I'm very excited about watching this. Then there's
I think after last year it may have, if it's following the present, that would be exciting.
Then there's Bacurau, which is I think it's a Southern American film about this it's like this violent homecoming of this soldier who comes, like this old guy who comes home. It looks fantastic, and a lot of people are giving it rave reviews, but we haven't seen where we can watch it yet here in Australia.
Oh, is that, we haven't talked about that other movie that came to Netflix? What was it called? The one with Tom Holland as the son.
Oh, right, yeah, because I haven't seen it, and
neither have I, because I heard bad reviews of it.
Yeah.
But that movie, yeah.
Then there's another one called First Cow, which sounds a bit funny, but it's by Kelly Reichardt, and it is basically a study of what it means to be American and how disillusion can set in with that, which
easily.
I'm very interested in seeing that, because it's
quite easy. I've studied a little bit into American history recently, and one of the most important things you need to know is that there is a lot of revisionist history in American history, and you need to be aware of that.
Then there's Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always by Eliza Hittman, and that one is about this girl who she's pregnant and she's trying to work out what she's going to do with her life, and she's very young, and basically everything that entails. It's very interesting.
So it's Juno.
No, I think it's not a comedy.
It's more of a drama. Okay.
And then there's Nomadland by Chloe Zhao, which stars Frances McDormand as this trailer traveling nomad, pretty much, which looks fantastic. I haven't seen any of Chloe Zhao's work, mainly because we have very limited access to it over here. But I'm very excited about watching a lot of her stuff, especially before her Marvel film, The Eternals, comes out next year.
Yeah.
Because
I'm a big fan of Frances McDormand as well, after
Everything she's done. Fargo.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah,
Fargo.
Fargo. I was thinking
3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
that was the one I was thinking
She's
of.
just fantastic. She's an amazing actress, and she's magnetic every single time she's on the screen.
She knows how to. She can get an emotive performance out of not what seemingly isn't
She's
doing
very
much, which is,
minimalist.
I think,
Yeah.
it's so powerful because
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. And that's my list.
Okay.
That's my list of films that came out or were supposed to come out this year
Whew.
that I haven't seen yet, and I really want to.
I guess I should mention the big blockbusters beyond that. We've already mentioned Maverick.
Well, I've also got movies I'm looking forward to in 2021.
Yeah.
And some of those films are in there.
Yeah, just run through the big blockbusters that you haven't already.
Okay, so we got Eternals, obviously.
Yes, the Eternals, which is interesting.
Yes.
Marvel being exciting.
I'm looking forward to it just because Chloe Zhao is the most indie director that Marvel has ever gotten, ever.
Wasn't James Gunn when he went there?
Yeah, I guess, but he also kind of had put his stamp on the horror world before then. But a lot of Chloe Zhao's films, they're super contained in their own thing. And I'm really looking forward to that. Then there's Spider-Man 3, which is insane because if you've heard things about things, then you're gonna be like, "Oh my god!" They're getting all the Spider-Mans back. Every single fucking Spider-Man that's ever been in a live-action film, they're bringing to the screen, and also the villains as well.
Yeah, it sounds like they've gone, "Fuck it, we're putting them all in." You know, I think screw the rules. We hire Sony. That's what
I think it's also to do with the fact that Sony. I think after the fuck up that they had a couple of years ago, where they almost again like they split from Marvel and they said we're doing our own thing and it backfired and blew up in their face. They went back to Marvel/Disney and said, "All right, help us out." And so they made Homecoming, they made the second one, and then they fucked up again and said, "No, we're going out on our own." And then I think they've realized again, "Oh no, we can't do that. That's let's get back together again."
I think what they've come to the realization is it's like Spider-Man can be anything they want it to be.
Yes.
If they stick to the core character and do it right, do it justice, don't half-ass it.
If they understand it.
And I think the reason they've got the balls to do this as well is because of Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, that was the big stepping point.
Was such a good movie, and it came out of nowhere.
The best
really, because
Spider-Man film, and I love a lot of the Spider-Man films, but Into the Spider-Verse is hands down the best one.
Because it gets the story right.
It not just gets the story right; it gets everything right, from the visuals to the character,
the visuals so good.
to the story, to the sound, the music, everything.
Yeah,
it is
every aspect
perfect
of that movie
film
is incredible. But no, once again, it's the core of they got the story right, they got the characters right. Everything else adds to that. But the fact that they got the core of the movie right, that's all they needed.
Yeah, and it's just really fantastic. No Time to Die, obviously. Directed by Cary Fukunaga, which I am very excited about because Fukunaga for me is another one of those filmmakers who is a little bit more indie than he is mainstream.
Yeah.
Even though he has had some success mainstream with It, the first chapter, not the second one.
Yeah.
And also the cop drama on HBO. I can't remember what it's called now. Matthew McConaughey was in it. That one.
True Detective.
True Detective. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. True Detective. But he's someone who seems to like the places that are dark and gritty without being edgy. You know what I mean?
No, so he's good at creating an environment of people that are dark and edgy, but not without the light. I think that's the key. I think the reason True Detective season 1 was so powerful was because it took us to dark places, but it did it at the same time with characters that you could see good in.
Yes.
Which I think was important.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to what he does with Bond, especially since this is Daniel Craig's last outing as Bond.
Yep. The thing is, it might not have been, by which I mean the last one might have been the last one. So the fact that he came back for this one as well does say something about it. That there's something here.
You can't go out on Skyfall. Is it Skyfall? No, it's not Skyfall. What was the last one?
It was Spectre.
Spectre, yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah,
if that was his last movie, I would have been very upset because it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't.
Fantastic.
And
it wasn't a good send-off, if that was going to be a send-off.
No. It will be good to see more.
Another one, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yes, another Marvel movie.
This one's going to be interesting because
it's going to be the most anime of a Marvel movie.
Well, let's not put it in any boxes just yet. But
no, it's got that classic shonen story of there's a fighting tournament and we go through the fighting tournament and then there's backstory of the fighting tournament. But it does it in this sort of I don't want to use cliche confined environment.
Yeah.
That's repetitive, but it does it. It can be used to do lots of different things.
I mean,
which is nice.
There's been a lot of great repetitive movies that have come out. Can't think of any now, but I'm sure there's been heaps of them. But this film's going to be interesting because this is kind of like the first big Asian Marvel film.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be, it's going to be big. I feel like I think this is going to do for Asian Americans what Black Panther did for African Americans, and I think that's the expectation. And if it doesn't reach that, there's going to be a lot of trouble because they've got a good cast, they've got a good director, Dustin Daniel Cretton, and they've got some fantastic writers. One of which worked on Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, I mean, I'm extremely excited for the next Doctor Strange as well. I don't know if that's next year or the year after.
I think that's the year after.
Yeah, I think it was originally going to be next year.
Because Doctor Strange is actually in Sherlock Holmes. Doctor Strange is in Spider-Man 3.
Division. Yes, he is.
And also some of the TV shows. I think he might actually pop up in all of them.
That would be surprising.
Yeah. What else? Well, obviously Dune, Denis Villeneuve. I'm very excited for Dune. I've just started reading the book for the first time.
What?
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. I've been putting it off because there's some people that have recommended it that I ended up not liking on a personal level. You know who you are. You're a piece of shit.
I'm sorry. That's kidding.
Yeah, damn it, Scotty.
Emily's in the next room going, why does he hate me? No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Dune is such a sprawling, huge narrative.
Yes, that is the best way to describe it.
It's
an epic, similar to reading the original Lord of the Rings when you read it for the first time.
And I love how it's written because the way it is written, in my mind, is perfect for making into a film. Which is funny because Dune is known for being the most unfilmable movie. It's had so many different iterations that don't work. None of them have worked so far. There's been some terrible ones. There's been some very mediocre ones.
There's been great ones that never made it.
Yeah, but the way Dune is written it's written from a perspective of it never gives you everything. It always tells it to you as if it's only going to tell you the details when it becomes apparent, when you need to know them because something happens. And I love that style of writing. I think that
it's a great storytelling.
Yeah, and too many writers now, especially in sci-fi, miss out on this. There's a lot.
I know who you're talking about. That you talking
Not
about
just
them.
him though. Maybe. There's a number of different ones that kind of just don't get it, that don't understand that way of telling a story. And I think that it's a lost art. But I'm really looking forward to this. Also, another film that is coming out next year that is a blockbuster, Mission Impossible 7 by Christopher McQuarrie, which has been in the news lately because of a certain someone screaming his head off.
Anyway, I think that will about do it because your food is probably at the door and we don't want to keep it waiting, do we?
Nice floor, Scotty.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a mess. Until next time,
I've been me. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the new year.
Christmas.
Yeah, have a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah. Maybe you'll have a nice little surprise to listen to shortly. Who knows? Probably not.
You never know.
You never know.
See ya.
Bye.